wants to save time, right? And Google wants to help you save time. And so I think that no matter who you are, time is precious. And so if these tips and tricks help you save time, that people will be interested in them. And I think that's why they would be interested in them. I think your typical Filipino is looking for information on local food. They're also looking for celebrities like Manny Pacquiao. They're looking for information on current events like Noynoy Aquino elections. They're also looking for travel tips, travel destinations, as well as holiday plans. I think that your typical Filipino is doing search of these kinds: local, celebrities, those things that I just described. Your average Filipino is doing those things. So if you look at Philippines versus, say, United States, Singapore, Australia, countries that are 10 times bigger, 10 times more populated, we still outpace them on searches for love by a long shot. So my colleagues, they know me, said this makes a lot of sense because I'm fairly romantic myself. They said, oh well, of course, Filipinos search for love. And so I think that's an interesting thing. So while Filipinos search for a lot of these things, sports celebrities, local current events, and they search for love. These are all interesting things, but the vast majority of searches in the Philippines are still very basic. Okay? So if you look at this chart of sort of top 10 search terms, you'll see that there's two things you'll notice. One is that Filipinos are primarily navigational searchers. So they'll go to Google and they'll type in Facebook or they'll type in YouTube. And they're trying to get somewhere, right? Or they are searching for stuff that is very general, the terms that they put in. So if you look at number 6 here, they'll just type in games, right? And so they'll search for a very broad term, and they'll get very broad results, okay? And so back to the question, why are we here today? We're here today because of this reason that you see here, this contrast. There are a lot of things that Filipinos are naturally really interested in. Manny, Noynoy, what's happening around them, holidays, etc. And there's stuff like love and lyrics and stuff that they're really, they probably want to know, like the latest Journey song, like all this kind of stuff. So, but at the same time, what's actually going into the search box are these kinds of terms, right? And so that's kind of what I'm here to talk to you about today. I'm hoping to reach you guys, and through you guys, your readers, to help them learn a little bit about how to become a better searcher, how to demand more from Google, and to ask more questions and to get more information and to get more use every day out of their Google search. So from this vast sea of information, how can we help you find exactly what you need when you come to Google, right? To illustrate this difficulty, let's say, let me put you guys in the shoes of Google. Let's pretend you're Google for a second, okay? If a user comes to you and types in the word apple, okay? What do you show them, right? Do you show them an apple, the fruit, okay? Or do you show them Apple, the computer, right? Or do you show them both? But if you show them both, which one do you put first? You put this one first, or this one first, right? So this illustrates a very basic problem that's at the heart of a lot of things we do, like something we take for granted as human beings that we can actually easily filter through. We have to teach machines how to do this, right? And how to do this billions of times a day in less than a quarter of a second, right? And that's the kind of challenge that we face. And so how do we do this, right? How do we make something very, very simple out of something very, very complicated? Well, the way that we do this is that we focus on expanding the comprehensiveness of our index, the relevance of results and speed, etc. But at the heart, we just make a lot of investments, engineering investments. So even today, we have more engineers working on search than any other product line. So Gmail, Chrome, all of our browsers, more engineers at Google work on search than on anything else, right? And as a result, last year alone, over 550 improvements, so 550 changes to our search results. And in 2010, we've made hundreds of improvements already to the way that we serve our search results. Okay? So one thing that we recently produced is something called Caffeine. Right? That's our secret code word for it in-house, so that when we talk about it, When we're doing karaoke or like whatever, we say, hey, like, how is that caffeine product going? No one really knows. So this caffeine product, what does it do? Essentially, it allows us to make it possible for Google to deliver fresher web results as the web expands. Okay? The easiest way to think about this is if you think about the web as a book, every day pages are added to that book, right? And if you have an index, every time you add a page, you add a little bit of the index. And every time you add another page, you add a little bit of the index, right? And caffeine allows us basically to, as pages are added, that we add to that index very, very quickly, right? And why is that useful? Well, because let's say that your book gets 100 extra pages added, and you don't add any index and add anything to the index. That means that when a user searches that index, they're only looking at the first 500 pages of the book. They're not looking at the extra 100 pages. So the search results that they have, the quality is a little bit lower if you haven't actually indexed the entirety of the book. Another improvement that, out of all this strategy kind of stuff that we've been thinking, out of the mission statement and all this stuff, is real-time search. Okay? Users today expect information to be very, very fresh. So if something happened with Lady Gaga last night at the VMAs, and you run a search for Lady Gaga, you don't necessarily want to hear about Lady Gaga 2 months ago, 3 months ago, 4 months ago. You want to hear about what happened last night. Did she trip? Did she fall? Was she wearing something cool? All sorts of things. If there was, for example, like an earthquake that just happened, right? If you type in the word earthquake into your region, you don't want to hear about the earthquake that happened last month or last week or 5 days ago. You want to hear about the earthquake that you just felt, that just happened, right? And so if you look at here, as you notice, I'm searching on Google.com. It's not available on Google Philippines yet, but it should be. So a little sneak peek for you guys. So if you type in, for example, Cherise, or if you type in slower. So like as you type, Google's producing results, right? So you see it's like Chase. Now it's like charter.net. And then it starts to like figure out what you're thinking about. And starts to give you suggestions, right? So then you can save typing. And let's say I want to look for the Glee audition, right? It kind of helps you with what you're looking for. Does that make sense? So instant search, like you don't have to even press enter anymore, and it's smart enough to make suggestions to you as it goes. So there's